This is the very most important thing in our life from the time you get up in the morning till you go to bed. I don't want to be handing out medications like I'm in a grocery store. Food, the quality and quantity of your sleep, and how much you move, it all affects our mitochondria. When our mitochondria starts being dysfunctional, that is when disease starts to happen.
What actions do you take to avoid toxins as much as possible? In this episode, I am joined by Adriana Shuman, who is a certified nutritionist and functional medicine health strategist with a pharmacy degree and over 15 years of experience. She specializes in root cause focused strategies using her four-step Live Well methodology to restore energy, improve gut and mitochondrial health, and balance blood glucose. As the founder of Your Wellness Made Simple, she has helped countless clients achieve vibrant health. Featured in Dr. Elaine Aron's documentary Sensitive, she integrates her experience as a highly sensitive person, HSP, into her compassionate coaching approach. Please enjoy this interview with Adriana Shuman. Adriana, what inspired your shift from pharmacy to functional medicine and nutrition?
Well, Jessica, that's a story of my life. Watching people, especially in my family, suffering from cancer and dying painfully was, I think, one of the first moments in my life when I was already at the Pharmaceutical University studying pharmacy, medication, treating diseases in a conventional way. Something was not adding up. And when I was practicing in the pharmacy and watching patients coming in, filling out their, meds all the time, I think there was another moment, and it wasn't very conscious, it was very subconscious, something just telling me inside, this inner voice, that this is not what I'm supposed to do. This doesn't make any sense. And then it came very, very clear that I don't want to do this. I literally said, I don't want to be handing out medications like I'm in a grocery store. So it became very, very clear, and I had no idea what I was going to be actually doing. What do I do with this? My father, after I told him, after I graduated from university, that I'm not going to practice pharmacy, was very upset. He was crying and he could not understand. I had no idea what I was going to be doing, but I knew I had to leave my country because I was suffering a lot. I came from a very violent household. My father was very violent. My mother decided to deal with her suffering by abusing alcohol and using me to protect her. So I had a pretty traumatic childhood, and I knew the only way to get out was to leave the country, to break the cycle. So when I came to the United States, I was 26. I had to learn English first because I didn't speak English. And I discovered first the healing from in, going within, whatever you want to call it. And I knew that the first thing I had to do is to heal my trauma, to heal my past. And as I was going through that process, reading books and finding all the resources that I could possibly put my hands on, I realized that thankfully the background in pharmacy, the science, biology, physiology was incredible for me to understand that part. But now I was starting to understand the inner voice, the healing, that is really important, that medication cannot do, that is really important in order for you to heal the body. So that was kind of how it all began.
I'm curious what it was like working in the pharmaceutical industry. What are are there certain quotas that you need to meet? What is like the behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I didn't really work after school at all. I left. So the only experience that I had in the pharmacy field as far as working was actually during my time in school. That's when I took a year off So I was 26 when I came to, after I finished university. I took a year off, and I actually took a year off between high school and university as well. Again, because I had so much trauma. I was so sick. I had so many issues, health issues, that I just wasn't able to study. I had a lot of health problems. But to answer your question is, so I was able to work for a year in the pharmacy during my school year, and I worked at different pharmacies. I was trying different kinds of things, and that's when I actually realized it. But I was not able to really go deep into meeting quotas, or that kind of stuff. So it was really just me being behind the counter and doing whatever I was supposed to do, or making medication. I was just given recipes and do the medication. And so I was not exposed to more than that. But that was just the point where I was standing behind the counter. It's like, no, I'm not doing this. This is not okay.
Why did it not feel okay?
That's a very deep question that led me to where I am today. Creating health, helping people how to actually create health. I could not answer that question then. I could just feel the tension in my body. I was at that time, because I was still, dealing with a lot of trauma and a lot of problems, my own health issues, emotional, physical. I just didn't understand what was going on at that time, but I just knew this is not what I want to do. And I told my friends, because my friends, my best friends who are still practicing pharmacy, that are from the university, I told them I can't do this. I am not handing out medications. Like, it literally just felt like being in a grocery store and handing out, groceries to somebody. Like, this is not. So why, the question is, I believe I have a guiding light inside of me, I call, that's guiding me to live my purpose and um and through my journey, to really teach people what health actually means, and how you have to be in charge of your health. It's not the medication, it's not a doctor, it's not your nutritionist, it's not a trainer. You have to have a team of people, that the right team of people that you can trust, and they're truly interested in you and know what creates health, not masking the symptoms, to get you, to live longer, but not better quality of life. So that really is what led me to what I'm doing today, which I'm teaching people how to actually be in charge of your health, how to understand your body, how to understand your environment, and create health every single day. It's not a once a week thing. It's an everyday practice that you do, that when you start doing, it becomes very automatic and who you are, and you create a new identity, and it's just what we're supposed to do, and nobody teaches us how to do, right?
Mm. Yes, right. Yeah. It seems like a lot of us have learned the hard way, and now we get to kind of try to save others from going down those awful paths that we had to do. And I would love to dive into everything you just mentioned as far as taking charge of your health and what that looks like. So for the listeners who do want to take charge of their health, where do they start? What's the first thing that you would say to do?
Yeah, I love what you said. Yes, it's the best way to learn something you want to learn is to learn from somebody who has been through something difficult and is on the other side now, right? Because I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday. She's my new client, and she said, there's so many people who are on this journey healing, and she has been interviewing so many strategists, health coaches. I call myself a wellness strategist because I believe in strategies. And she said that there's so many people who are doing the work, and it's great, but they're not on the other side yet. And so I always suggest to people like that, make sure when you're hiring somebody, they're already on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Because I would not be able to help people the way I am able to help them right now if I was trying to do it 10 years ago. I was not ready. So that brings me to answer your question is where you start. Health starts in your mind. The first thing is to shifting the mindset from um, the belief I believe there's these three obstacles. The one is waiting for the perfect moment. When I have more money, when I finish this job, when my kids go out of school, I mean, when they leave house and go to, college or whatever, like we're always looking for this perfect moment to begin, or I begin on Monday, right? Someday, there's always this someday. So the first thing is to know there is not a better moment than today. And even if today just means that you're going to get up in the morning and set an intention for your day, to decide what kind of day you want to have, to decide what emotions you want to feel today, and write it down on a piece of paper, on a sticky, and put it all over your house, on your phone. It doesn't matter, to have that constant reminder to rewire that subconscious mind. This is what my focus is. This is what my focus is. So no matter what you decide to do today differently than yesterday and what you've been doing, just do it today. Like when you're listening right now, decide something right now as you're listening that you're going to change, because all of us know there is that at least one thing that is not serving our health. Number two is believing that health is out of our hands. This is why I say you are in charge of your health, just like you're in charge of your, putting gas in your car, your finances, your kids and your dogs, whatever it is. Like, and we kind of give away uh, the power of our, taking charge of our health. We give it to somebody else. We have been taught, and this is not our fault. It's just society, just taught us like doctor is supposed to fix us. It's genetics, it's age. My parents were suffering. This is just the way it is. And you just become this passive participant in your own health. This is your body, right? This is the very most thing that we kind of put on a back shelf, but this is the very most important thing in our life from the time you get up in the morning till you go to bed. Doing everything that serves your health is that mindset shift that we really have to. And I had to go through the same process, having a daughter, having a husband, dogs, business, and so on. Like always coming back to myself, okay, what is it that I need? What is important to me? How do I take charge of my health today that's going to serve me today? What is it that I need to do? Like for me, for example, it's first thing in the morning, get up and do my morning practice. And the one thing that I can suggest to people is I call it sit and release. This is what I teach my clients. This is what I teach during workshops. And I know for some people, it's like, oh, what is sit and release? And it's really a practice of going within. And I know, Jessica, you talk about it a lot. It's instead of tuning out, it's really just going in and listening to your body, listening to your breath. And if people are not used to this, and you can go into this deeper if you want to, but just kind of brush the surface, it's really just spending 5 minutes every morning with yourself, having a pad and paper next to you. And whatever comes up, just write it down. If you had a tough conversation with your spouse yesterday, and you just kind of moved on and you started to do, your household stuff or work, whatever, and you just never really actually went in and resolved it, um, just feel those feelings again. What were you feeling at that time? And just write it down, just release it. That's what I call the release. We have to release these emotions and thoughts. There are stories, they're not serving us. We need to get it out of our body. It can be some, I had a lot of trauma as a child. I went through years and years of processing, and I'm still processing. Every single morning something comes up, like, oh, instead of holding it in, I put it out, I get it out, I release it. So that's number two, believing that health is out of your control. Not true. And number three is having the right support, which I already mentioned. And having the right support can mean a lot of things. There are a lot of people that are really searching for support really hard looking for doctors, nutritionists, meditation practitioners, like, but I really strongly believe that being through this process myself, there have been so many, mentors, doctors, um, hypnosis therapists, or all these people that I've tried to create my team from to heal, that were not the right support for me. So that really didn't lead me to the place that I needed to go to in order to evolve and be in that great place that I am today. So just make sure that this person is really interested in you. They're asking you questions. The ego is away. It's completely about you, unique self. If somebody starts to generalize their, from just too much from the book. So we have to learn from the science, we have to learn from the books, but we also have to come into a place where we're so connected to the other person we're trying to help, that is very unique to you and what your needs are, and is able to, shift. So those are, I kind of shared a lot, but I hope that some of this resonates with somebody, and they'll be able to know where to kind of start. But it really starts in the mind.
I was talking to someone yesterday and I said that my diet is my biggest expense. And then I paused and I said, let me correct that. My health is my biggest investment.
Mm.
I think that's the reframe that the world needs to have when it comes to their health, because so many people will they'll invest or they will spend their money, their time, their energy, their attention, all of their resources on these external things that they think will bring them happiness, health, joy, whatever it is that they're looking for. But we have all of those things already inside of us. And that's what you're saying, is to look within. And it's just doing the right things, the tools that really, what you're ultimately saying, what I'm hearing at least, is kind of letting go and releasing all of these things that are blocking that. Like when you're talking about journaling, getting the things out of your mind, then you're getting them out. So you're no longer having those things swarming around in your head, and they're able to be let go of, and you're able to move on from them. That's
Yeah.
just, one piece of it.
Mhm.
But I completely agree. It starts in the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said. Health is your biggest investment. That's that mind shift, that if we just have that shift of mind, your health will completely shift. If that is what you truly, if that's your mantra, if that's your identity, health is my biggest investment, period. I mean, really, like when we are not healthy, what do we have? Well, that's all we want, right? If you think about those moments whenever we were not healthy, we've all had those moments, or watching our children or parents or anybody else. Like that is all we wanted every single day. That's all we've been asking for, praying for, and manifesting health, health, health. So think about it, and it really starts within. There's so many problems that people have with physical problems with their organs. I mean, there have been so much incredible science and so many incredible people helping others to heal their bodies just through going within. It's incredible. Yeah.
You spoke about was it your father who had cancer?
Well, my father was the last one from my family who passed from cancer, but before that, that was everybody in my family. My uncle, my aunt, my grandma, everyone.
So what
Yeah.
does that look like if you were to give your opinion on why did the cancer come about? Is that something, how deep do you go with that? Do you look at their diet? Do you look at their lifestyle? Do you look at their beliefs? Was it inherited ancestrally? How do you see it?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I wish people were asking this kind of question actually more often, because we can really just focus on one thing, food, for example. But cancers, and it's not just cancers, multiple different kinds of cancers are very complex. It's a very, very complex disease that has the root causes can be just, there's just so many different kinds of root causes. And the last person that I watched pass away was my best friend last year on Valentine's Day. And so I'll kind of tell you that story. We were friends for over 20 years. He was just an incredible soul, beautiful human being, very happy. He was older, so he grew up during communism. I grew up during communism. I was 14 years old when Czechoslovakia was freed from communism. So growing up in that era was extremely stressful, very traumatic for your body, for your system 24/7. And going back to physiology, um, they know, the science understands now that most of the cancers are due to dysfunctional mitochondria. And um, every single thing that we do from our environment, which is the inner environment, what we're talking about, the outer environment, the toxins in our environment, food, the quality and quantity of your sleep, and how much you move, it all affects our mitochondria. And when our mitochondria starts being dysfunctional, that is when disease starts to happen. Before that, we have symptoms. I tell people disease doesn't happen over a day, over a week. When people say, oh, she was healthy, she was doing great, and all of a sudden she has cancer. No, it's been building up in the body for 5, 10, 20, 40 years. It takes a very, very long time because our bodies are so resilient and they can truly heal if we give it what it needs. So my friend, just like my family members and my father, a lot of trauma from just the environment of growing up in Czechoslovakia, and my father on top of that, growing up in the World War II, which was really, really difficult. And many times he was telling me stories where he was crying, where everything was taken away from him, and he was watching his parents lose everything, and he was left alone. His parents died very early. He was left alone, trying to save himself, put himself through school, feed himself, have a place to live, and etc. So that it's a very, very toxic, hard environment to live in your body and for your mitochondria. And then on top of that, you have food. My best friend, he loved drinking alcohol, loved smoking, here and there. Food was basically based on processed meats like sausages and that kind of stuff, a lot of sugar, a lot of processed carbohydrates, which are basically just processed grains, eating lots of bread. Slovakia is a bread country. We eat lots and lots of bread, pizza, pasta, then the toxins from water. We never had filtered water. People are still drinking water out of faucet, city water out of faucet. Who knows what's in there? My apartment was constantly flooded. We had mold in our walls. Uh, there is the toxicity. So what you're hearing me say is the toxicity from the environment, the inner environment, the stress. Then you have the food. We did not, nobody was teaching us how to sleep either. Like my friend, my best friend, he was going to bed around midnight and getting up early in the morning to go to work. He just liked to stay out, and he did not have any kind of sleep routine, which sleep is the absolutely most important part of healing. That is the only time that your brain can actually turn off during deep sleep, especially, and heal itself. And the body has time to finally take a break and remove the old cells, remove the old mitochondria that are dysfunctional, and replace them now during the day with doing the right practices. And so Cancer is such an incredible topic to me. It's a very sad topic, but I studied it so much. I have read so many books, and I have come to that understanding that it's not one thing. It's all of this. It's your environment, it's the food you eat, making sure that there are no toxins in the food from antibiotics, hormones, pesticides. All of these we now know they're leading to diseases. Sleep is the absolute most important active daily process for your body to heal. And movement, again, moving more than sitting is another incredible free medicine for your body and mind. So all these four pillars, which are actually my methodology that I teach, are the, what would I call it? Those are all the buckets that we have to look at when we are trying to create health and prevent cancer from being created. That's what I believe.
It sounds like the mitochondria is, I mean, the only thing I really know about it is it referred to as the powerhouse?
Yeah, it creates energy. Yeah, I tell people that just imagine it's like the generator. You have a generator for your house in order for you to have the lights on, cook meals, charge your phone, basically everything that you're doing. But the generator needs fuel in order for it to create the power, right? For your house. So depending on the fuel the generator is getting, you're either using the generator is using then 100% of energy. So all the lights are on in your house, you can do whatever you want. And if it's not getting the proper fuel, or there's, some heavy metals, mold, and too much stress, whatever, then the mitochondria, the generator, is not powered 100%, but it's creating maybe just 30% of energy. So now you can only turn the light on in your bedroom and you can cook food, or maybe you can just do this and you cannot do that. Like, you can't focus 100%. You cannot do everything that you want to do. That's when you have those headaches and gastrointestinal problems and joint pains and these symptoms that we just want to like shush them away. Like, I don't want it. It's like, no, they're telling you something is off. You have to pay attention and actually respond to it, right? So yeah, and mitochondria has a lot more functions. We look at it as the uh, power generator, as the ATP, energy creator. But there are actually so many more amazing things happening in the mitochondria. So I teach people to understand mitochondria so they can actually really, really take care of it. Because just because we can't see, just like you can't see toxins, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. These things that we don't see, we actually have to understand and pay attention to even more than the things that we see.
Wow. So the mitochondria is affecting pretty much everything when it comes to our body, and the best way we can support it is getting deep quality sleep.
Well, yes, and I would say all those four pillars take care of your inner world, no toxins, because more toxins you're putting in your body, more the mitochondria has to work, and the other systems as well. Food, those are the toxins, like eating organic, wild, pasture-raised foods. And deep sleep is really when I say that's the only time your brain doesn't have to watch over you. It can actually clean itself up, literally, like take a shower inside your brain and clean itself up. But not just the deep sleep, the whole entire sleep, and the sleep cycles are incredibly important for healing. And there's so many people that are deprived from sleep. Like, speaking of the inner environment and what you talk about, I call REM sleep my free therapy, because that's when you're actually processing all these experiences that you've had, and your brain is literally filing things in folders and drawers and putting things away that have already been processed, or there's things that still have to be processed. Like, that's what I see my brain is literally doing, and healing the things. And then when I get up in the morning, when I actually wake up in the morning, the first thing, I'm actually going through my dreams before I open my eyes to really pay attention to, like, oh, what was happening? What do I still have to pay attention? What just got resolved? What's going on? It's absolutely incredible when you start being in tune with yourself and with your body. The body is telling you exactly what it needs.
Hmm. Yeah, it really is amazing.
Yeah.
How can we avoid toxins? How do you avoid toxins?
Are you speaking of the environmental toxins, like the outer toxins?
All of them. You listed you listed mold, the things that come on, food and produce, yeah, environmental,
Yeah.
yeah, all of it. What actions do you take to avoid toxins as much as possible?
Yeah. So what I tell people, eat real sustainable food you can find in nature. What that means is food that is sustainably grown. That means it is grown in respect to nature and to yourself, to animals, and everything that's in nature, right? We are part of nature. Nature didn't create synthetic pesticides and herbicides. Nature didn't create hormones and antibiotics to inject animals, right? So thinking about that way first is making sure that your food is grown in respect to nature, organic, wild. When it comes to meats, I only buy wild meat. Sometimes I have grass-fed meat, but I need to make sure also that it's grass finished because now they are feeding the cows grass, but then they finish them with grains. They're full of pesticides, so you just have to be really careful. And also just think about what is the cow supposed to actually eat, right? Support the farmers who are doing the right thing because they love nature and they love their work. Just, I always think about also the people that are producing the food and supporting the people that are doing the right thing, right? Same thing goes for eggs, chickens, just pasture raised. They're supposed to be roaming around and eating worms, grasses, and whatever comes from nature. So organic, wild, pasture raised, grass fed, grass finished. I think I mentioned all of those keywords. And that would be eliminating the toxins from food. The next level is mold. This is a big one because there have been so many studies now, and I was full of mold that mycotoxins do lead to many cancers. I am going to hopefully inspire people now to start looking into products that are better and start questioning companies. Coffee and peanut butter. Coffee, unless you are buying coffee that has been third-party tested to be mold-free, you're most likely every single day drinking coffee full of mold that is being stuck in your body, and you're wondering why you're having all these symptoms, why you have foggy brain, why you have all these pains, and you think you're doing everything right, and there might be this toxin inside your body that is you can't override it with supplements or exercise, or it just doesn't work. You have to remove the toxins. uh, Peanut butter, peanuts are, there's a specific toxin called aflatoxin just because the way the peanuts grow close to the ground and they have a shell. It doesn't matter if you're buying peanut butter that's organic, that has nothing to do with mold. So I tell people, because it's really hard to know, I just tell people get rid of peanuts and just use different kind of nuts, hazelnuts, almonds, cashew, whatever else. It's just not worth to take the risk. And these are the two main foods that I would be really, really questioning. And then the other is um, heavy metals, plastics. The good thing is if you are using sauna or if you're, sweating at least 3 times a week, a lot of these toxins we are actually able to remove through sweat. Um, uh, I'm thinking about all the toxins that people are ingesting without even realizing. Oh, one of the other big ones is tuna fish. I know a lot of people love tuna, but tuna is so just heavy in mercury, and mercury is a neurotoxin. So switch tuna for salmon, sardines, and just slowly. And I know friends like, oh my gosh, I love my sushi, I love tuna fish. And just maybe, I don't know how many times a week or a month you're eating tuna, but just slowly transitioning to different kinds of fish, smaller fish that doesn't have mercury in. Cadmium in chocolates. I specifically email companies and ask them, because I love chocolate, for third-party testing on their cadmium levels, because it's in soil, right? So you can't avoid these natural elements 100%, but you're in charge of what you're putting in your body and lowering the amounts of these elements. Arsenic in rice, only buying California grown organic rice really eliminates a lot of arsenic in rice. So the list is long and I have all of it in my book. I just want to add one more thing. The one way to know how toxic your body actually is to do testing. I am a huge believer in testing so you can understand your body and you can prevent a lot of diseases and not being, living completely blind and not having an idea of what to do. I tell people, like, if you have a broken car and go to to service and tell them to fix your car, you don't know what's wrong, and you just tell them, well, you can't look under the hood. You just have to kind of guess and figure out what's wrong and fix it. They'll look at you like, what do you mean? Like, they have to look under the hood. Same thing with your body. You have to understand what's going on inside your body, and the only way to do it is to do really good testing, which I go through all the tests in my book that everybody should be doing, that people are not doing because unfortunately insurance doesn't pay for it. But again, it's much cheaper than dealing with diseases later on. That was a long answer.
What
Sorry.
kind? Great answer. What kind of tests do you recommend? Are these blood tests?
So actually, all these tests you can do at home yourself, which is amazing. Um, Number one test I do is genetic tests, actually. That's where we start because we want to understand your unique body, where your mutations are, on which genes, which enzymes are working and which are not. It's extremely important. Without understanding this, I'll tell you a story of my daughter. People are talking about eating fermented food, sauerkraut. It's so amazing for the microbiome. And yes, absolutely it is. And it's absolutely incredible. And everybody should be eating fermented foods unless you have genetic mutation on a specific gene that doesn't create an enzyme for you to break down histamine. These foods are very high in histamine. For example, my daughter, she grew up with a lot of rashes, a lot of health problems. We had no idea what was going on. And then we figure out when she was about 8 years old that she's missing a gene that creates enzyme to break down histamine. So what that means is she absolutely cannot eat anything fermented. Nothing. So it's really, really important to understand your genetics. That's where I would start. It's a one-time test that you do and you're done. It's your blueprint. The number two test is the mycotoxin test. Know what mycotoxins you have in your body and the load of it, and you start removing it. There is a test that you can combine mycotoxins with also heavy metals and other environmental toxins. You do this at home through urine. Stool test to understand your microbiome, because that is responsible also for removing toxins from your body and many, many other things, right? We can't separate these systems. Everything works together. So stool test you do at home, understand your microbiome, also toxicity levels. The other test is organic acid test. You do it at home as well. This test I have been studying for years through with an incredible functional medicine doctor, Dr. Kalish in Berkeley. I think he's the only one who actually teaches medical doctors how to understand this test, because this test will tell you everything about the function of your mitochondria, where there are roadblocks, what needs to be fixed in order for your mitochondria to function properly, all the neurotransmitters, toxic levels, oxidations, inflammation. I mean, there is so much in this test. And when you put it together with the stool test and your genetics and the mycotoxins level, you have a complete picture of what is actually going on inside your body and create a strategy now to create incredible health. Super important. So these are the main ones. There are more, tests that you can do that I do with my clients based on their needs and where they are in life. But these are the ones that everybody should be doing at least twice a year.
Another thing that you talk about, and I know we're not going to get a chance to cover everything that you teach when it comes to health, but I do want to touch on HSPs.
Mm.
Could you explain what an HSP is and how would you tailor their wellness routines to better support their nervous system and their energy levels?
Thank you for asking me that, Jessica. HSP stands for highly sensitive person. I would highly suggest to look up Elaine Aron. She's in Bay Area, San Francisco area, California. Look up her website and learn everything you possibly can about HSP. I was in my late 30s. My daughter was about 6 years old when I learned that there is nothing wrong with me. I'm a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive person means you have a deep processing, you're very intuitive, you can sense um, the things that normal people cannot sense. It's the smells, it's the noise, it's the energy of people. Like you walk into the room and everything inside your body all of a sudden shifts and you have no idea what's going on in your body, and you start picking up on all the energies inside, and you start either being elevated more, you feel incredible, or you start feeling like you're shutting down and everything just doesn't feel right. You're feeling overstimulated and it feels like anxiety, which I don't really like that term because it's a very, very general term, but it's just more of that feeling like everything is shutting down. And so understanding that there is nothing wrong with you, because this is how I grew up. I didn't learn about it until late 30s when my friend told me. We went going for a walks and we would talk, and she's like, I think you're an HSP. I was like, what the heck is HSP? She's like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Your nervous system, this is a trait, this is genetic trait, is highly sensitive to stimuli that are on the outside. So she introduced me to Elaine Aron, and that was the time when she was getting ready for her first documentary, Sensitive. So my daughter and I were actually in the documentary. It was an incredible experience because I got to actually be in it and learn so much through doing this documentary. It was the absolute best therapy. I was very fortunate to have been given this gift at that time, and just know that the feelings that you have are not something to push away, but to really pay attention to and trust. And what people like us need more of is time alone. It doesn't mean that you're an introvert. There's a lot of people who are extroverted. There are also highly sensitive people. It just means because we're so much more in tune with the world around us, you have to imagine that the nervous system is working so much more. So we need more time alone to recharge again. Just like your phone needs to recharge the battery, you need to shut down the computers at night. It's the same thing. So we just need more of it. And we are more intuitive. We can see, hear, things that other people may not. And because I didn't know who I was, and I had this trait, I would be sharing my feelings that were more like, oh, I knew this was going to happen, or could see this about this person, I was sharing with people and they would make me feel really bad. And I spent a lot of time, crying and being upset and misunderstood because I had no idea. I thought everybody was like me. And that's when I started to realize it's not. So then what is wrong with me? And then thanks to Elaine's work, there's nothing wrong with us. It's an incredible, incredible gift that if you know how to use it, it's going to, what I tell my daughter, she's now 17, this gift, if you listen, is actually guiding you on the path you're supposed to be on instead of getting distracted and getting on these side roads that are going to make your life more complicated. So if you really tune in and listen to it, it actually is going to make your life easier, even though at times it feels very exhausting. But just know that during those times, just spend the time alone in quiet in nature. Nature is absolutely incredibly healing. But yeah, the best way to really learn about it, just go to Elaine's website. It's incredible.
I think I just learned that I'm an HSP.
Yay! That's awesome.
I didn't know there was, I mean, I knew, I always thought of it as like being intuitive, but
Mhm.
I suppose it's a different way to look at it.
It is, and yeah, really look into it. She has an acronym DOS, and I'm not gonna go into because I'm gonna screw it up. But the first D is for deep processing, emotional. Yeah, I'm not gonna try. So, but it describes it really, really well. The HSP trait. It's amazing.
Very neat. Adriana, what have we not covered yet today that you feel is important to share?
I think the only thing we've talked about it, but I would just really encourage people to go within more, especially these days. And the world is just going to get faster and faster and more distracting. And instead of, you know, being distracted by the noise outside, to really carve out time. Everybody has the 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night to really be alone, not distracted by anything. Just turn everything off and just close your eyes, tune in inside your body, feel your feelings, trust them, don't judge them, love them. Your body's talking to you. Please listen.
I have two closing questions for you. Before I ask them, where can people go to learn more? Maybe buy your book?
Yeah, so you can definitely buy my book on Your Wellness Dash Made Simple. There is a link to my book called Live Well. Also, I'm on Instagram, Your Wellness Made Simple. And I love talking to people. I love connecting with people so people can message me. The book Live Well teaches my methodology and walks you through all the 4 pillars. And it's a very simple science-based guide that's holistically laid out for people to be able to get to a place where they're confident, they feel empowered, and they're truly in charge of their health and know exactly what to do every day to live the life they're supposed to live with ease.
Fantastic. That will be linked in the show notes.
Thank
And
you.
then my first question for you is what is your number one health tip? Which was kind of like your first question that I asked you. But if you had to choose one health tip, whether it's spiritual, emotional, nutrition, physical, anything, just the one thing that you would like everyone in the world to know.
Shift your mindset to shift your health. If you have recognized the thoughts that you're having right now, there are limiting your life, and ask yourself, how would I like it to be instead? What beliefs do I need to have, or what do I need to believe in order to have feeling blank? That would be my very first thing.
For your final question, you get to choose the number 1 through 100, and that will correlate to a more personal question.
Okay, 22.
22.
I love that you do this, Jessica.
Oh, good. How do you stay resilient in the face of adversity?
Ah, such a good question. Growing up surrounded with so much violence and pain and suffering, there was a gift. I had to spend a lot of time alone with myself to learn how to listen to my body and take care of myself, take care of my own needs because my parents did not take care of them. I had no psychologist, therapist, friends. I could not speak to anyone. So I was completely relying on myself. So in the face of adversities, I still go to the same place today. Um, and that is the same message we've been talking about this whole entire time. So I'm glad that actually it brings me back to that one thing. I was given a gift in the midst of almost a war zone to be able to spend time alone, get to know my feelings, my body, and my thoughts, and respond in a way that serves me to heal myself. And that is what my answer is. Listen to your body. Learn to really understand and listen to your body. And that is what I do every single day. My morning practice, every single day, no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter what is going on in the world, I sit every morning, close my eyes, tune in, and just wait for what comes up. And then I respond to that.
I do something very similar and it keeps me sane. So I 100% support this message. Thank you so much, Adriana Shuman. This has been a delight. It's been a pleasure. I'm so happy we got to connect and thank you for sharing all of your knowledge. I'm excited to be able to share your message with the world and to put the link to your book so people can access it. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jessica. This has been one of my favorites, if not the favorite interview that I've had. I'm really grateful.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. Thank you very much. I will speak with you soon, and it's been lovely to connect.
Thank you.